Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and this is part 4 of my Sweet Bloom series. So again, just left the location on Reed Street, and this time we're going to be trying the Natural Ethiopia Nigatu Wase. I'm going to take a sip. Alright, so continuing on with my story and history with Sweet Bloom. This is really important, and I've been drinking the coffees accordingly to kind of tell this story. I talked about how amazing the lesser-known countries for coffee are when Sweet Bloom makes them. Peru's, El Salvador's, even Guatemala's, so on. I mean, Guatemala's a huge coffee country, but so on. My favorite coffee from Sweet Bloom ever is either that Volcan Panama gesha that I talk about all the time, or a couple years back, they had a Daniel Mijou, which was just a regular, natural Ethiopia that stunned me to no end. It was one of the few bags of coffee I've purchased twice. I went there and bought a cup of coffee of that Daniel Mijou nearly daily for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks straight. It was such an exceptional coffee that still to this day I talk about it. I have a friend as well that talks about how it's the best cup of coffee he's ever had. It's another one of those moments where Sweet Bloom really set themselves apart. Their Ethiopias are great. They're obviously in the top tier, top category, but that being said, I think it's one of the few areas where there are other coffee roasters, maybe Onyx, that have been able to compete, that have been on par, and that's where Onyx comes in as kind of this 1A, 1B with Sweet Bloom. They have amazing Ethiopias, and it's the one place where Sweet Bloom, that Daniel Mijou is what set them apart that one time. And anytime they have a natural Ethiopia, of course, it's first thing I want to find something that was just like that Daniel Mijou. That was such an impressive coffee. And everything in this 5-part series is my first time trying it, and so this is my first couple of sips of this coffee, and it's great. It's there's so much to this. It's again another one of those really complex, spectacular cups of coffee that Sweet Bloom is producing. Very sweet, very berry forward, a lot of terrific balance. Don't get an overly high amount of acidity coming through. Like I would be surprised if I ever had a Sweet Bloom coffee that I thought was anything less than like perfect in terms of roast. That Daniel Mijou, still to this day, insanely iconic for me, and it sets the standard for what a normal bag of coffee could be. Not your gesha, not your sidra, not your Sudan reme, not any of those coffees. That just for having a regular bag of coffee was something that still to this day is unmatched for me and set the gold standard. And this coffee right here, again, a lot of sweetness. I don't think that there was, I didn't look at the flavor notes very heavily. I kind of wanted to get my own reaction to this coffee. And it is very, very berry forward. Of course, I get a lot more blueberries, kind of like the like a blueberry sort of sauce, like this type of stuff you would put on pancakes, that sort of thing. And then I also get I do get a nice bit of milk chocolate towards the end, but it's got some great. I don't know how I would describe that. Maybe some just a tiny touch of grapiness to it. So it's very well balanced, very nice. Got some exciting flavors, got that great sweetness that is the trademark of Sweet Bloom. Terrific cup of coffee. Now, again, we're kind of rating these coffees in comparison to each other, and I think yesterday's El Salvador, for me, still just edges of this one right here. And I am confident in saying you still have that Pablo Guerrero as my #1 favorite. And then the El Salvador is my #2, which is kind of surprising, but I say about Sweet Bloom, they knock it out of the park with those slightly smaller coffee countries. This Ethiopia is great, and it is better for me than the washed Gucci. So this right here comes in as my #3. Great cup of coffee, and you know what, I'm gonna say I think the El Salvador just edges it a little bit for me. It's nice, but the El Salvador was more unique and more fun for me. And yeah, Gucci 4th. So that's 4 out of 5. Last one is going to be their washed Guatemala tomorrow, but I have a pretty good idea of how this is going to end now. Exciting coffee, lots to talk about in the last video, so stay tuned. It includes my discussion with Andy. I had a conversation with Andy a couple years ago that I'm going to touch on in that last video, and Yeah, just kind of a last ending note on Sweet Bloom for right now. But this right here has been part 4 of my Sweet Bloom series. Thank you for watching.